Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Zimbabwe is a failed state. Pause for a moment and think about it. Let that sink in. We are a failed state. Our economy is in total ruins. Millions of our people are living in abject poverty. Millions of others have been forced to leave the country as political and or economic refugees. Zimbabwe is a failed state. And the number one reason for it is because we have failed to hold free, fair, and credible elections. And for the last 45 years, we've been stuck with this corrupt, incompetent, and tyrannical Zanu PF dictatorship. That is at the heart of our problem. What is the cure? Well, it's obvious. Cure yourself of this case of rigged elections and bad governance, and then you can start building the country, get back it on the democratic track, and start rebuilding the country. Nothing of any significance can ever be achieved until we do that. For the last 25 years, the people of Zimbabwe have risked everything to elect MDC CCC leaders into power for the express purpose they would implement the democratic reforms, changes to stop Zanu PF rigging elections. That is the purpose of the opposition. So now, 25 years down the line, you have to stop and say, why do we still have the same problem? Why is Zanu PF able to blatantly rig elections and get away with it? Why? We've had this MDC CCC opposition for the last 25 years, including the 5 years in the GNU when they had the best chance of implementing the reforms. The solution to Zimbabwe's failed state is that we implement the democratic reforms and cure ourselves of this case of rigged elections and bad governance. That is the cure. Why haven't we taken the medicine? Well, MDC and CCC have failed to implement even one token reform in the last 25 years, including the 5 years in the GNU when they had the golden opportunity to do so. Ever since the 2008 to 2013 GNU, MDC CCC leaders have participated in elections on the basis of what they called winning in rigged election strategies, wires for short. Every time they've come up with one strategy after another. And guess what? None of those strategies have ever worked. In 2023, Chamisa told the nation that CCC was going to win big because I've plugged all the Zanu PF vote rigging loopholes. People pointed out to him, Zanu PF is able to rig elections because we do not have a verified voters roll. He said it, that plugged. I've got my own people looking into it. People pointed out that Zanu PF was frog marching rural voters to vote for the party. He said they had covered that as well. I have plugged all the vote rigging loopholes. Stubbornly refused to give any detail of those plugs, arguing that he doesn't want to pre-warn Zanu PF because then they will do something to counteract it. People believed it. Nearly 2 million Zimbabweans, according to SEC results, voted for Chamisa. On what basis? They believed he had plugged the vote rigging loopholes. The truth of the matter is, the day after the election, Chamisa himself was the first one to admit that Zanu PF had rigged the elections. What he didn't want, he has never admitted, is that he had actually lied to the people about his plugging the vote rigging loopholes. He had not plugged any vote rigging loopholes. And the people have never taken him to task on that. The problem here is, by participating in the big numbers, 2 million, people gave Zanu PF legitimacy. Whether they want to accept it or not is irrelevant. You've participated, you were warned that if you participate in these flawed elections without reforms, you will be giving Zanu PF legitimacy. And that's what you did. In January last year, Chamisa stepped down from his leadership as CCC leader. And now there's talk of him coming back. And he says he has got the cure. A new nation founded on love. Zimbabwe shall be a new and great nation governed by love, truth, justice, not hate, violence, lies, deceit, and corruption. Love is the missing essential. Love is the foundation. Love builds, love heals, love gives, love forgives, love produces, love provides, love protects, love prospers. Let love lead. It's all very well said. Needless to say, There are a lot of people who have responded to that and believe it the same way they believed him when he said Triple C was going to win big because I've plugged the vote rigging loopholes. So now he's providing us an explanation. He had failed to plug all the vote rigging loopholes because love was the missing essential. Now he has got it. So people can participate in 2028 elections. This time they've got everything. Last time they were missing love. This time they've got it. How can the world take us seriously if we do not take ourselves seriously? The serious question to be asked here is, how is this love going to stop Zanu PF rigging the elections? We are not prepared for another feeble excuse that you cannot reveal how this love is going to stop Zanu PF rigging the elections because he doesn't want pre-warn to forewarn Zanu PF. I don't think it will. I think this is just another excuse to con people to believe that the opposition will this time win rigged elections. This is a crazy idea. Why are we abandoning our right to free, fair, and credible elections and demanding that everyone should play by the rules, including Zanu PF? The law is very clear that there should be a verified voters roll. Why are Chamisa and company agreeing to participate in an election process where there's no verified voters roll? You cannot blame Zanu PF for failing to produce a verified voters roll if they know that even if they don't, you will still participate. Why are you participating when you know they've not produced a verified voters roll? Both SADC and the AU condemned the 2023 elections, and thus giving us, the people of Zimbabwe, the basis to demand meaningful reforms to be implemented before the next elections. If people do not participate in the same millions in 2028 because Zanu PF has not implemented any meaningful reforms, I don't see how anyone can expect anything other than SADC denying Zanu PF legitimacy. They themselves concluded in 2023 that those elections were flawed because they failed to meet Zimbabwe's own electoral laws and constitution and failed to meet the guidelines, SADC's own guidelines. They know also that no meaningful reforms have been implemented since then. So how can they expect the next elections to be any different? The main problem we have here is the opposition itself. They are the ones who are insisting in participating in these flawed elections. And having participated and lost, you cannot expect SADC to still step in and deny Zanu PF legitimacy. If you participated, you must take the consequences of that. We do not need to keep arguing in circles here. The most important thing about free, fair, and credible elections is for us to implement the democratic reforms. That's the number one thing. This whole issue of I've got now the essential ingredient of love. Let's go to the elections. Is nonsensical. We cannot afford to go into another election, which we know is going to be rigged, on the basis of an idiotic argument that I've got love. Love is the foundation. Foundation of what? All along for the last 25 years, you didn't realize that you didn't have the foundation? This is nonsense. The people of Zimbabwe should not be conned into going into 2028 elections on the basis of another idiotic argument that the opposition will win rigged elections. That is the argument here. And I think it's high time Zimbabweans started taking these issues of elections with the seriousness and urgency the matter demands. The people must not be that naive and gullible that they will be dragged into yet another flawed and illegal election process on the basis of an idiotic argument that Chamisa has got a strategy of winning rigged elections. He has failed to deliver on that promise so far because he was missing one essential ingredient, love. He has got it now. And this time, he and his party will win big. If people participate on the basis of yet another idiotic lie, then people must know that they have got only themselves to blame. I think people need to open their eyes. This is just nonsense. Love is not going to stop Zanu PF rigging elections. Let's talk of things that will stop Zanu PF rigging elections. We must be mature enough to realize that we are being conned here. Think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.